Hello world, welcome back to Far Out State of the Game. This is going to be a heavily conceptual video. My visions of the key game mechanics from the introduction video are finally taking shape, and I'm dying to share those. So stick around, but first let's look at the progress. The first step of our roadmap is officially complete, which I've mostly covered with shirts. The movement system is just nasty, it's so versatile, albeit I might find some issues with it down the line, but hopefully nothing major. Also, while making such shirts, I've doubled in some stylistic choices for the upcoming graphical update. Most importantly though, the resource generation is in full swing. This part of the roadmap is even more important than I thought, since basically every key mechanic stems from it. So I have to not only code it well, but also make a concept shaping game design decision every 5 minutes. As you may have guessed, there is a lot to unpack, so buckle up. I'll start off with a reminder that every resource in the game will have randomly generated properties. Those properties won't be known by the player from the start, and they will have to unlock them via tech trees, which are part of our next roadmap. You can also combine those resources in different ratios to make composites, where the properties are averaged. Those properties define virtually every interaction a resource will have with the world. Crafting, combat, building, but that's far from all. A resource will also have a mold, for instance raw or refined or something else, and also a shape, for example sharp, both of which also affect the things I just listed. But that's only the basic resources. What about crafting? Well, my idea for crafting was a gesture-based system. Bear with me. Let's say you have 2 rocks. You put one of them in your crafting space, grab the second one and start bashing them together with your mouse, crushing the rock. Or you could put a short stick and a sharp piece of metal in your crafting space, then grab a leather strip and do a kind of wrapping gesture to connect the pieces. This could be pretty immersive while also allowing for automation in later game stages. But there is a problem, cause of course there is. How do we define what invention does what? I mean, it's clear that we made a sword, but how is the game supposed to know it's not a fishing rod? My solution? A moves tech tree. You can unlock different uses for your inventions and assign them yourself. This not only fixes the issue, but is also so huge for combat, and probably other mechanics as well. And to separate incomplete scraps from actual inventions, it can be a separate button that assembles an invention, while whatever other item combination is simply considered a component. Let's get back to resources though. Something else I want to cover is resource tiers. I went with the classic convention of F, C, B, A, S, S+, and wildcard. What's a wildcard again? A wildcard resource is a resource that has a property it's not supposed to have, and this property will always be close to, if not maxed out. So you could have a highly explosive metal or an extremely conductive wood, albeit the other properties will be kind of lackluster. But remember the composites? I've been thinking, there is absolutely no reason to use wildcards in those, since we would just make the unique property worse if we throw in other resources, and that just kind of alienates such a cool resource type from the flow of the game. That's not peak game design, so for that I came up with composite bind strength. If you melt 2 metals together, that's a strong bind, and the properties are averaged. But if instead you grind them all up in, say, a powder and mix them all together, that's now a weak bind. And instead of averaging, the game takes the strongest property of every resource for no drawbacks. You could even stack several wildcards together, making wildcards fit right in with the composite system, taking up niches in fuel, weapons, and probably much more. Now that's peak game design if I say so myself. And last but not least, I want to cover the inventory concept. On top of the resource type, mold, and shape, a resource will also have length, width, and volume. Those will also define interactions, but on top of that, I'm thinking to make a volumetric inventory, kind of like in Stalker or Resident Evil. Could be a bit hectic to manage for the player, but I'll try to make item management as comfortable as possible, taking Terraria as a golden standard here. And I think that's a wrap. It's been a wild month, the redemption arc is crazy, I finally get to have fun with game design. Also, as a side note, the game's lore is coming together really nicely and I actually feel like a decent writer now. No spoilers though, bye!